start streaming on there. I believe we're live here. Hello, hello.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Could somebody please confirm that we are present and correct, please?
You've just reminded me of so this week, if anyone's been watching, the rap game has started. I watch it every year, I love it. And there is a woman that is absolutely killing on it. There is a woman, sorry, absolutely killing it. I probably couldn't hear me then. So I'm trying to send it to you guys up so you can see us. And there's a guy that every time he does something, he does mic check, and it's so cringe. And you can see every time he does it, they're just kind of like, it doesn't fit. It's so 90s.
I was just gonna say it's just outdated. That's all,
really
isn't it?
outdated.
It's maybe it's a bit of like a habit as well. You know how we always go so, and then think, why did I start it with so?
I have a habit of calling this a lesson.
I had a sip.
I do it a lot.
Lesson.
Oh, funny, a spit take.
Lovely.
Yeah, I have a real problem with that. But
that's just
no
us
problems.
the words coming out wrong, isn't it? It's like whatever you think, if you're half thinking something and talking, the chances are you're gonna have the wrong word. And then even if you're not thinking about something else, the wrong word's gonna come out. Like once I said to my mate, he was playing darts with my brother when we still lived together, and he come walking through. He's like, "You're right, Lynn's like, yeah, sound." And then he needed to get home, and I went, "Do you want me to call you a duvet?" And I meant a taxi, and I wasn't even thinking about him sleeping over or anything like that. But it made it feel like it was a fraudulent slip. It's fraudulent. What's one of them called?
Freudian slip.
Freudian slip, as though I was thinking about that. See what I mean? I'm like bright red. Like, I mean, a taxi. I don't know why
that would have killed me. Like, just that, like, oh my god,
so embarrassing.
Why else would I be thinking of a duvet? What?
Yeah. So, but it happens so often where just the most random word just finds its way into my sentence. I'm like, oh, that was exciting. Let's just remove that word.
My time is when I write birthday cards and Christmas cards.
What's that? I'm laughing as well because my mum will be watching this like, oh my god. Like when I was younger, I used to constantly like, she said I'd got such lovely writing. I'd be so proud of that. I'd be like, to Lindsay. And she'd be like, "Put your own name." Like, oh, and then I'd be crying because I know I'd messed it up.
Do your parents get into that routine where you had like a practice?
Yeah,
you did the real card.
Or even they'd write it out so I could copy it purely to try and limit the mistakes happening. But weirdly, like when I did the ADHD assessment and my mum had to fill it in, it said, "Do they make silly mistakes or whatever?" And at first she was like, "You don't really, do you?" But then when we're thinking about it, it's like, yeah, there was all those occasions, just all those little hints that something it didn't match up. Yeah, you see what I mean? Like
that's why I've always said, like, when you go for like an assessment, whether it's for your PIP or for an actual diagnosis or your benefits or whatever, having someone the person that questions you, the interviewer, having one of them that is really good at being like giving you examples.
Yeah.
'Cause it's quite easy to be like, oh no, I'm not really like that, and they're like, oh, what about with this? Because as far as it wasn't even psychological. When I went to do my eczema trials, medical trials that I did, he was like, on a scale from 1 to 10, how itchy would you say you are? And I sat there and I was like, probably about 3, 4 right now. And he was like, I don't mean to be like interfering in your answers. He was like, but I've seen you not stop scratching yourself since you've been here.
Yeah. But it's in the back of your mind now. It's subconscious kind of thing.
But in my head, it can get so much worse as well.
Yeah.
This is not.
Where do I pitch myself? As like, am I pitching my normal or someone else's normal?
Exactly.
Like,
and he was like, I need you to start seeing things worse off. And he was like, especially because it accurately gives, you know.
Well, going back to the mistakes thing, I think at that point we'd been, oh no, you don't really make mistakes. And then when I got home and I read through the paperwork, I was like, it doesn't even ask for someone else to do this assessment, and I'd got it all completely wrong. And I was like ringing my mum, but like, you'll never guess what. This whole thing was wrong. Oops.
I love looking at the autism when people are looking through the questions and stuff, and there's ones that are like, How am I supposed to? I'm 33. What do you mean it happened at school and a bit or sometimes after? Like, how do I put my life into those separate categories? And it's like the fact you're questioning how you answer the question within the question, just to me signifies you think a lot, therefore.
Yeah, you overthink.
Probably.
You've took that literally. Like, that wasn't the question. Oh.
Speaking of things taken literally, before we get into the topic, I saw a really funny post and it was about things that you didn't quite understand as a child just because of the way they were written.
Yeah.
And someone had written a story about how they were really upset when they were told that their mum was worried that they were going to get fired. They were talking about it at the dinner table at night and then went to school the next day. This kid was terrified because they thought their mum was getting set on fire.
Oh my God, yeah, because that's a figure of speech that, you know, if you're taking that literal, you're going to get fired. Like, what do you mean? Like, it sounds like you're going to get a hose and go...
Just spin her on a spinny chair while she's set on fire. Like, you will not be late again, Karen.
There's so many of those weird examples, isn't there, when, like, you think back and you think, I misunderstood that.
I really misunderstood.
Yeah, what age did that start to make sense?
That's
what we've got in the chat this evening.
Hey Peter, we've got True Vibes. Hello, how are you doing? I'm good actually. I'm full of energy. I feel like I've slept for months. And I'm re-energized.
I feel quite energetic actually, but I feel like, you know, it's a full moon tomorrow. There's lots of astrological changes that always kind of excite me. I'm like, I'm on track. The cycle is saying I should be here and this is where I am. So
I love that.
And we've got Lou. Good evening. How are you?
Thank you
for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
If we have to hazard a guess, I'm sure that Fleur is keeping Lou on her toes.
She probably can't even see the chat right now because Fleur's got her occupied. But if you can hear us, Fleur.
Yeah, she'll be like that, looking round.
What's the noise that you do? The humming?
Yeah, the send a wild at the screen.
Has anyone seen that video? It kills me. It's so cute, but it's just... I watched it on silent first because the household was in bed and I didn't realise. And it wasn't until the next day when I just went to show my partner to be like, look how cute Fleur is. And I realised it was your humming setting this off. I was like, that's genius. That's so funny.
It's the fact that, like, there's one where I hum and she looks at me, backs up and takes like a loop and then does a run up, you know, like, it's like, hold on, let me get some speed. And then there's one right at the end where she's jumping at me and I'm almost resisting it, but then right at the end you just hear me go, oh, because she finally like completes it and I fall backwards. And like my friend commented on it, just saying the little at the end. It's like, I know, like, it's one of them that gets funnier every time you watch it. She's a character. And she has got TikTok now, so those of you that aren't following Fleur the Bulldog, give her a follow. She is hilarious.
Fleur the Bulldog. Is there any numbers or anything after that?
I think it's just Fleur _ the Bulldog, but if you put in Fleur the Bulldog, I'm pretty sure it'll come up. It'll definitely say followed by Lindsay ADHD. So
I love that. So yeah, today's episode is on
extreme acts of kindness.
Lord, the world needs it.
It certainly does. It certainly does.
It's a scary place right now in multiple corners of this planet. Sorry to you flat earthers. I don't know if that sentence annoys people or...
No. Well, multiple corners, that suggests it's square, so I won't worry too much. It's one of those idioms, like it's a paradox or whatever, in it. Yeah. Corners of the planet.
Excuse me, I'm autistic. Nice to meet you. Hey, Kat, we've got Kat. Nice to see you, Kat.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome aboard the crazy train.
The crazy train, indeed.
So I actually posed the kindness question to some students this week.
I love that.
Because...
What were they saying?
Well, the thing is, I thought they're fed up with just hearing the word kind, be kind, you know, let's think of an act of kindness.
I think they're the same with compassion. I know exactly what you mean.
So I kind of went in on the opposite. I said, what's the opposite of kind? And they were like, well, nasty or unkind or being horrible. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, why are people nasty, unkind and horrible? And they were like thinking about it for ages. And then the only thing that they could kind of come up with was because that's what they've experienced. Like, people are always being nasty, unkind, or horrible in a response to somebody else being nasty and unkind and horrible to them. So I was like, don't you think then it's truly, truly powerful that you've got the opportunity to end that cycle? It ends with you. If somebody is horrible to you and you don't lash out and repay that with exactly the same energy, you are stopping it there. You're not allowing it to go any further.
I love that.
Yeah. But I think it was like quite monumental for them to realize that, you know, they're thinking we're going to come up with this big list of things as to why people display that kind of behavior. And then even like I said to them, well, let's turn it around. I said, think of a time that you've been horrible to somebody. Why were you horrible? And they were like, because they were to me. And I was like, exactly. So it's always this cycle then that, well, they were horrible to me, so I was horrible in return. And then you feel justified, or, you know, I suppose thinking about it, there's probably, you might be unkind because you're tired and you're hungry and you're stressed, you know, and there is other like layers to it. But yeah, I just thought it was quite deep of them.
No, I think it's great. I like that that was highlighted. Just that idea of like, it's a reaction, it's a response. No one is born evil.
Yeah.
So the more negativity that happens to a person, you can see how they either get that sense of a huge empathy where they never want anyone to feel like that and they go the opposite way, or just kind of have that F life, no one cares about me, therefore I'll. So yeah,
I think when you look at it through those kind of eyes as well, that lens of only the hurt people type thing, it can help you to think, because sometimes you do want to give someone a taste of their own medicine, but you have to think, no, they've already had that. That's why they're doing it. You know, I've got to almost show them a better example, or just not allow it to get to me and me rise above it, me be the bigger person.
One of the biggest conversations, most common conversations I have about regulating your emotions is, it's, well, that person got my emotions up. Well, that person made me feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, I held a door open for someone and they just went straight through it. So I went, thank you. And guilty. Hey, I'm so guilty of doing
I
things
do that
like
sometimes, yeah. And
It's
then after I always
passive-aggressive.
feel a bit ashamed.
Exactly. So why am I doing that to myself?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't feel that way. I feel like, oh, I just feel like a worse human being. You know, like I'm not a team player. It makes me feel a bit like just crappy. Like, I'm not a benefit to the world, sort of thing, when I'm acting like that. But then recognizing, why am I acting like that?
Yeah, yeah.
This sort of things have happened to me. Okay, what can I do? Show myself some kindness.
Yeah.
And I deserve that power to be able to, like, it ends with me.
Yeah. And the whole holding the door open for someone, essentially, when we're kind, we really should be doing that from a place of love. And if somebody doesn't say thanks, then so what? You know, you were doing it because
you weren't doing it for the thanks.
Yeah. And although it is polite to say thanks, it's like, well, it's not the end of the world. You were doing it to be polite yourself, so don't worry about them not acknowledging it type thing.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if you're religious, then it might sink in a lot easier that it's like, I didn't do this to get into heaven.
Yeah.
Because that in itself will not get me to heaven.
Yeah, I did it because my moral compass is, you know, powerful enough that that's the thing that makes me feel good, or makes me feel like I'm living a fulfilled life, if you see what I mean.
Kindness starts with you. You can't make other people be any certain way to you, whether they can make them better to you, make them worse to you. I suppose if you treat them badly, but it's about starting with you, and you have that control, and it's a ripple effect. Once you show someone that little bit of kindness, it makes them question, oh wait, why have I been so miserable today? I've been I've been crap today.
That's the other thing. It's like something that it has an effect, doesn't it? Even if that effect is to make them even more determined to be like miserable kind of thing. Like, oh, look at them being all kind. But eventually the penny will drop with that person where they do reflect. Everybody just does it at a different age.
But if they are never showed those repetitive kindness despite their own negativity, when will they ever learn that lesson?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it starts with me, because if I keep at this, the world will, do you know what I mean? It literally spreads like a positive virus.
Yeah, it does. It's sorry, I was half thinking of something horrible that a student said at school today, and then like what I was gonna say has just gone out of my mind completely. But yeah, carry on, Steph. I'm sure it'll come back.
To be fair, we've got some people in the chat. Louis You're saying dying at this. She goes absolutely wild for you.
Omming. That's when we were just going, better not do it too much or send the dog wild again. The impression Lynn's of her was bang on. Looking like that now, yeah, it's that. She does this kind of really, like it's so cute.
Kat says the moon is amazing tonight.
It absolutely is, yeah.
I know driving in, there was a lot of clouds in the way.
Do you know what though? Driving here, the moon was to my right hand side the whole way here, and it's like this circular opening of the cloud, and I did feel really like it was just looking down on me while I was driving here.
Just me and the moon.
I do love the moon. It does look lovely tonight. You're right. But even on Monday, so I don't know whether you got an email about Kamala was doing it. So Celebrate Our Similarities is
So you'd gone to the peace event.
No, it was Leicester Business Festival is happening at the moment.
Very cool.
Yeah, Kamala was running like just a something as part of that, and it was like trying to get people of Leicester together and really kind of just continue that conversation of how can we bring peace education to our communities and just the kind of mission of cause. But the reason I was going to say about it is that I'd said to the moon, I was like, oh, guide me there, moon type thing. And it literally was in front of me the whole way as I was driving there, the whole way as I was walking from my car. I don't know. I felt like I'd got a friend in the moon on Monday. But in terms of kindness, that organisation, Celebrate Our Similarities, has been going since 2010. Right. And it really humbled me, actually, because I thought so many people would have gave up and gone, nobody's listening type thing. But she's so determined that every tiny step for her is a win, and it doesn't matter how long it's taken. She's dedicating her life to trying to share this outlook that if people were just kinder, more peaceful, and it is that it starts with you first, because the peace education is all about inner peace, and then it becomes like a community thing.
I like the peace education in the fact that it kind of burns the candle at both ends in a really good way, that it reaches the individual and what can you do from you, but it also has these contacts with businesses and with bigger organizations that are like, what impact can we have? Because, if we're a big company, we've got a big, I don't know, carbon footprint, like what peace is that creating? And it's just about reaching all those different things. Like there's only so much we can do as individuals. We can do that, but we can't do it on our own.
That's why inner peace is important though, because you can feel really frustrated about how little or the perceived small impact that you're having, but actually that ripple effect, you don't always know where it's actually spreading, how far out it's impacting. But whilst I was there was this I'm sure his name was Io, but I can't quite remember. He was new to the group, so I'd not met him before. But he's from Loughborough, and he runs a kind of charitable type organisation called Caribanu, maybe something like that. But it's like through the African lens for well-being, and they do like food events and stuff like that. So I've connected with him because I was like, keep me informed about any events that you've got. But I'd put my 2 pennies into the group and said about how our friend Banu is from Kenya, and when she was in Kenya, she was talking about the connection of like the community was not divided by faith and religion and skin color or any of that. It was just very accepting and in each other's houses and blah blah blah. And then he actually said, he built on what I was saying and said it was exactly the same in Nigeria. And then they shared something for Kindness Day, and it said like the African value is kindness. They have this saying to do with us all being one. You are you because we are us, or something. There's like this saying, and it's like you're only here because of the greater picture.
I totally agree. I think, and that's a lot of Western lives, or like the UK, US, we kind of take for granted how kind other cultures and other countries are. We're very much like, protect your stuff, everyone's out to get it. And you go there, my parents, for example, they live in Portugal half the year. They've just come back, in the summer they went to a wedding. They went there again for the last month or whatever, and they were given a thank you present to say thank you for the present they'd given for the wedding present.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's so like, you'd never do that here. The best you get is like a call, thank you, thanks for that or whatever. Maybe a thank you letter.
Yeah, I can say the last few presents I've given for like, certain things like baby showers, weddings. I've not even had a thanks, and it's like, seriously, mate. Like,
you come in and it goes, I'll just add it to the pile. You're like, oh, okay.
Like, yeah, like I was brought up doing the thank you letters, Like, so it's made me really aware to continue that as an adult. So it's like, I don't know, you just kind of lose your faith a little bit. Like, but then again, was I given the present for a thank you, or was I given the present to be kind?
Exactly. And that's from, again, my Western outlook going to Portugal. When they're bringing back someone to say thank you, I'm almost like, oh, stop, because I've got to bring you another thing to say. And it's like, oh, that
that's
just
lovely, though,
shows
isn't it?
me, doesn't it?
No, but that's
The
lovely, the
difference.
giving. Just keep giving.
Just keep giving.
Yeah.
I've run out of stuff.
I've run out of ideas.
I'm only here for a few weeks. I ain't got anything that I can start. But it's yeah.
But I tell you what, though, this sorry, I can't remember his name fully, but he said that when he came to the UK, that was the first time he was aware that well-being had to be actively worked on, because in Nigeria they were playing board games, they were sharing stories, the community was coming together. He said most nights the power goes out, so you'd be outside all sat around a fire and you'd all be laughing, and so well-being wasn't a problem. And it made me think we've been spun a bit of a line here, because we're so kind of like, oh, aren't we lucky, aren't we so privileged? Well, you know,
what's so disconnected.
What's the good of being privileged when your mental health's shocking and you've got no community connection and the actual human experience is being missed?
This is why I say crime is a result of capitalism. When you live in a community, when you are all one, there's no stealing. It doesn't make any sense. That's your stuff too.
Yeah, that person's gonna give everyone everything. So
there's no like, oh, do you know what I mean? There's no family, when that in this culture, what happens in this house stays in this house, and what happens in this house stays in this house. And what you get is a lot of domestic abuse, a lot of child hurt. When you live in communities, there's very small chance of that, because the rest of the community is there to witness it and say no.
Yeah, and the whole community is kind of impacted by your actions, because there's definitely that thing, like, in the past when a relationship's been a bit toxic, that person is desperate for you to not tell anybody else. They know, like, as much as they make out you're crazy, you're crazy, well, I'm crazy because I'm not putting up with your disrespect, but they're also like, oh right, I bet you're gonna tell your mates, aren't you?
But that's what you tell them, innit? It's like, why are you so bothered about that right now?
Yeah, and it
it tells me what you're focused
on. And it's just kind of like that whole thing. You very rarely see that awful behavior when there's a group. Yeah, it's like much more private.
Yeah, exactly. It allows people to be like dodgy. You get like game of telephone where no one's quite giving the same message anyway.
Yeah.
If everyone had an open conversation with everyone, there was no like, oh, the men talk to the men and the women talk to the women, or if you're from this family, you don't speak to anyone with less money, which what happens in this culture. You don't mix with someone that's homeless because you're taught that they're scroungers or beggars.
It's that what you don't know, in that you fear the unknown. So it's like, oh, that Asian family up the road must be up to no good because you don't know any better. But I mean, going back to, obviously you've just said that a lot of it's born from capitalism, and I think you're absolutely right. And when I was talking to my mum about the Nigerian and the Kenyan experiences, she said actually there's also an element of it's a new societal thing, in the sense that in the 70s, they, like, my mum was similar, like the cousins, they'd all be playing board games, there wasn't a TV in the house, so there was a lot more connection. And that actually there's a lot to be said for technology, because that has disconnected people, even though it's connected people on
people on a bigger scale, but lost the connection to that
the intimate connection
right around you.
And it's like gaming. My brother would have his friends round to game, and they'd be next to each other, and it was like, now and again they might get fed up with the game and they'd go in the back garden for a bit, or they'd go and make a sandwich together, or they'd walk to the shop together. Whereas and I know that people still talk when they're gaming because they're doing it online, but you've lost that nudging into each other, and the contact and the catching each other's eye, and there's all of that's been lost. And we've become very separated through this extra technology kind of thing.
Yep. It's the swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You get it with anything. And maybe it's a case of looking at your own life, being like, how can I make technology more of a benefit to my community? Can I set up a WhatsApp group for my street?
Just
being like, hey, if we've ever got like a want for a street party, or
if you've got extra dinner,
if we need a babysitter, they've got this community here. Even like like a game thing that you could all play with your road, where you all signed, like we've got Wordle and stuff like
Yeah,
this, where
yeah,
you've got like a daily challenge. But
yeah.
you could have like a leaderboard for your whole street sort of
Well,
thing.
I'm in a walking challenge at the minute for the afters.
That's
So
brilliant,
and
yeah.
Steph the afters, the Hangover Free Club, and it's like we're all on the Step Up app, and then you join the Hangover Free
Very
Club
cool.
group. And I was ill for the first week of November, so it really did like knock me off my feet. But since I've been back on the ball, it's really pushed me to, I'm out with the kids, should we go for a walk? And, every opportunity, should we go for a walk? Because I'm trying to get more, because as a group, we're trying to complete a challenge where we're not trying to compete against each other. We've got to get to so many thousands of miles by the end of the month. So,
I love that.
Even that's quite a good one. And then you could go for walks as a street walking.
Street walking.
Night to Peter, although he's off to work, so he's not off to bed. He says, we're smashing it as always. Thank you very much.
Oh,
I hope your shift goes really well.
Yeah, peace and love to that capitalist grind.
I know.
Hope you have a fun time at work.
We'll be talking more about Peter next week for our special men's show.
Special men's show. It's like Chippendales, but better. Don't believe me? Come back next week. You'll find out.
So have you got some examples that you wanted to share then? Because I know we were talking about the Beauty to the Street stuff.
So I wanted to get a Beauty to the Streets thing together, but I ran out of time this week. She's currently live right now, I believe, with the news, CNN or some sort of local news that's with her. I will make a bigger thing about her because I feel like I could reach out to her community and maybe possibly her to get an interview.
Yeah, that
would be really fun.
Yeah.
But Beauty to the Streets, just very quickly, is a lady. It's a non-profit based in California. She was feeding the homeless in Skid Row, a load of places around California, San Diego, and more recently has moved to Nevada. And she highlights three main things that stand out to me compared to people. I don't like following people that record people just to get that view and that like.
What,
and
like as in? So me and Scott was at the Love Buffet and we were giving the homeless some like money and stuff. So you mean if we'd filmed that? Here's my act of kindness.
Look, if it's for this content and it's to help me get food, then I'm selfishly, go for it. Generally.
But I know what you mean. I don't like that either. It's like
it's bad taste.
Yeah, of course it is. That person's like genuinely struggling. I think
there's a way to do it. When you I've seen some terrible ones where some guy had like a coffee and like a thing that had some chips in, and a few chips were left, and the guy came just put some like copper change in his chips, like in the plastic thing that his chips were in, and he was like, "Oh, sorry," and he like got some more out and put more money in his coffee, and he was just like,
"What?"
It was I've got to find that video and I'll show it next week.
So
it is
cringy though.
It is. Oh, it's terrible. And it became like a wave of people doing this stuff in America. And then there was like people setting it up where people would pretend they're homeless and then they make it come because they don't actually want to do the hard work.
Oh no, that is so cringe, isn't it?
It's so cringe.
That's kindness gone wrong because again, kindness should be coming from like it's okay to actively go out and do a kindness thing, like the kids with the pegs and they say like nice kind things on and actively. I know it's not just off the cuff kindness, but to do it purely to kind of show off, it's just that's not kindness.
Yeah, if there's a a benefit in some way, then fine, do what you want. But yeah, when it's purely solely for that like
external validation, again,
you've not helped anyone but yourself here, and that's just not charity, is it?
No.
So yeah, the three things that really stand out for me, I don't know if I'll be able to go through them all of them, but one of them is that she doesn't just use their name; she uses it a lot.
Yeah,
and it's a really good way of humanizing someone. If you're into true crime or anything like that, but using your name as a way of humanizing yourself to hopefully not get hurt. If you can tell enough personal details about yourself, then you risk them seeing you as a human and not wanting to hurt you. But this also happens when you want to humanize someone that feels like they've been disconnected from society.
Yeah.
Quite often they are made to feel like a nuisance or a tramp or you're all the ways below. So really instilling that person's name with them, and you'll say, she's like, "Hey Jimmy, how you doing, Jimmy? It's good to see you, Jimmy." Yeah, no problem, Jimmy. Every sentence has that person.
He might not have heard his name since the last time she spoke to him.
And you can see like just a few, like she'll come back the next day and the day after that, and these people are like, oh, thank you so much. You know what I mean? Another one that I won't go through all three things, but the second one that's really is choices. She goes on a lot about choices. When you're homeless, quite often people will turn up with food packages. Quite
Yeah.
often people do help.
Yeah.
There's good people in this world, but it's just kind of given to them and then they drive off, or they go to a place and you're given the set thing and then you go away.
Yeah, and it's like they're not an animal, like just giving them
Yeah.
whatever food you have decided they'll have.
Exactly. Just having that autonomy and being able to be like, you know, do you want an Oreo or do you want a cupcake or do you want
Yeah.
Mike and Ike's or do you want raisin oat, whatever these
And there's
sweets
that
are.
horrible saying in it, "Oh, beggars can't be choosers," but and there is that there is actually that concept of, well, they should be happy, like lucky, but actually some days you fancy hot food and some days you fancy cold food. Everyone has cravings for certain things,
Yeah.
so that must really feel like you're not human anymore if you lose that choice.
And she'll do something. In Skid Row, she had her van and all the food was kind of set up, and she'd go through, you know, one of these, a drink, different things. Then you go on to the next bit. Since she's been moving her stuff to Nevada, she can't have her van there. There's a load of different things stopping it being quite so smooth. So she's doing it from her car with the little things that she's got that she's managed to bring over the border, state border. There's a she just gave this, she doesn't have all these options anymore, so she bagged up set bags, but it still gave people the option, do you want bag A, B, or C? And she
Yeah.
had these pieces of paper with the different options, you know. She's like, I've been mindful that one's got peanut butter, so it's Reese's Pieces, and
Yeah.
M&M peanut, so all that's in one thing. There's one
Yeah.
that's purely like sweets rather than chocolate candy
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of thing. But it just gives, you know, she's going around and
Oh.
people are like, wow, wow. And she really, and she's not your typical Mother Teresa. She's got bright eyelashes. She's got bright, like different coloured hair every time I see her. Let me try and get a picture of her up.
Definitely worth checking out, because I think sometimes we need that feel good factor and to be reminded of the beauty of the human nature.
Yes.
You know, because if all you're seeing is the frustrating side of the news and the, you know, the depressing side, you can start to lose kind of hope, can't you? So
Yeah.
I think that the Beauty to the Streets is a really good example of
There she is. She is a babe, and she's been on. Let me just have a look. Oh, let's get that off. It's not Halloween anymore, guys. Calm down. So I don't know how you can see her, but this here is Miss Shirley. And Beauty to the Street started off as her just being
just an idea.
just an idea, but you know, there's already people filming, feeding people. But she was like, I want to offer choices. I want to offer makeup, hair. There's no reason why you can't feel beautiful while you're on the streets.
Yeah.
There's women on the streets. So I don't know if this will go into way the reason she made this, the visionary behind Beauty to the Streets. This journey was born out of her losing her son, her very young son. I've been learning the story as I've been joining her lives, but what I've gathered is her son was left alone with one of her, an elderly relative or an older relative, and some sort of medication cabinet got into, and his poor little body just, well, you weren't supposed to take that medication. And from that, this post traumatic growth, right, that we see is way more common than PTSD. It's really, and we need to be shining these.
Yeah. I find
These
that
cases.
that's like, it's strange how common that is actually, that people experience these absolutely harrowing things, and then from that comes the most like gorgeous kind of initiative.
Right.
And it's always like, you know, it makes you kind of feel like these events had to happen so that these things could then happen, because look at how many people are benefiting. But yeah, it's just
so she's a very God-fearing woman. She believes that she sees herself as one of God's doves. She's just sent here to do some work. And she was saying on a live today that she was like, I don't think it's karma, because I don't believe God would do something like that to babies. And someone was in the chat saying something, I I think karma is a bit of a nasty word, but I know when you talk about soul contracts.
Yeah, I think you choose your own karma. That's not someone putting it on you. You've chosen your karma.
And that's how she was explaining it. She was like, I had free will here. God sent me loads of obstacles to be like, don't do that. Don't leave that with that. Don't do this. Do you know what I mean? Don't go with that man. But there's many times where I went, no, thank you, God. I'll ignore you right now. I'll go down this path.
Yeah.
And then because of that, okay, I made them choices, but I made them choices before. Do you know what I mean? This was always going to happen. I will get the help when I need to. And she puts things into, she's put poetry the way she speaks.
Oh, nice.
She really humanizes these people that live on the street. Do you know what I mean? She has laughs with them. She like really touches their soul. And another thing that she does is presents, gifts and stuff. There's so many children, as you say, from the hood that they don't know good lives.
Yeah, they've got poverty in that.
And from her lives, people can see. So more recently, she was going around a place where they feed, and there was a she's like, right, get your Christmas presents in. Everyone, all the people on the live are wanting to fulfill your wishes, sort of thing. And some kid goes, can I get a PS4? And she went, I think you should be a bit more realistic, don't you, young man, sort of thing. Like, I don't want. But as she's saying that, she's not looking at the chat. I can see the chat, and a guy is there saying, Miss Shirley, I've got him one. He can have it. It's mine. He can have it. I've got a PS5. He can literally have my old one.
Yeah.
She can't see it, but she eventually sees it, and she's like, oh my God. So she goes back to him. Hey, I think you're getting your PS4. And he goes, can I get a PS5? And she goes, you'll get a PS0.
And that's the kids do that. There's, that's what kids do.
Exactly.
They don't have those like things of, they push their boundaries and stuff, don't they?
And she's not afraid to be like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's he needed to learn that lesson, and he'll have learned it where it's like, okay, I asked and I received, but then you push it and it's like you will get a little clip round the ear.
Closed mouth doesn't get fed, as she says. So you've got to ask sometimes. You've got to say something.
That is the thing.
So yeah, I want to go a bit further into the stuff that she does and connect with. Let's try and do something with her as well. I feel like that would be, I don't know.
I just think that the point of sharing something like that is that if you're at home and you're thinking, oh, I'd love to be able to help more, you can go out and you can help. There's so many people just on the streets that, would benefit from a sleeping bag being bought for them, or, go and ask them what they want. I want to help you. What can I do to help you? What do you need right now? And
love that.
Put it out there. But there's also next week, I'll be going into these initiatives a little bit more, because a lot of the initiatives that could fall under this kindness act of this week, we're also going to cover next week as part of our International Men's Day show. But just to quickly swoon over the men, quickly put some out. There's this one, It's Okay to Not Be Okay, which is a Leicestershire initiative, and this one was found by Hitesh after losing a friend. I don't know whether we're allowed to say the word, because I know that on TikTok they say unaliving themselves.
Unaliving.
And he founded this kind of way to make some money to be able to give it to charities, and he supports like the female domestic abuse charity and like mental health charities and all the rest of it with any profits that he makes. But this I love, because at school I've got the t-shirt on as well. So I've got one of the t-shirts and one of the hoodies, and the kids will say, oh, miss, that is okay to not be okay. My dad's got that hoodie, or because it's a Leicester thing.
Yeah.
I've got that keyring, or I've seen that keyring, and it's been
Sedge has got one.
Actually, yeah, it's been a conversation starter on at least 10 occasions with new students.
Yeah.
And it's got them to open up as well, because it is based around mental health. A lot of the times then they're like, oh, I lost my uncle and we supported that charity, or they supported us, like there's some kind of connection, and it allows them to open up and it starts those conversations. But that just came from him being like, enough is enough, something's got to be done. But then there's also do something, Aunt Sal's do something good, or Aunt Sal's do something amazing, something like that.
Aunt Sal's.
Yeah.
The food.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's doing his feeding the homeless at Christmas again. And that was found, that's it. Aunt Sal's do something for someone else. So Aunt Sal was his auntie. He's called Benji. And his story is very much a climb from the bottom managed to overcome
rags to riches sort of
yeah,
thing.
a lot of addictions, and was just like, you know, enough is enough type thing. But they're doing a shout out for, you know, any donations for toys, for food, you know, because yeah, community Christmas. And it's open to anybody, so if anybody is at a loss and they need that kind of at Christmas, there's that one. There's also, and again, I'm going to go into them all a little bit more detail next week as well, but Running with Tom, which is on Instagram, but Tom Hunt, his name is, he's doing this cycle, this bike ride from Land's End to Old Grove, is it, or something, in Scotland to Land's End, but it's like 100 miles a day for 10 days or something like that. I don't think it's that one. Yeah, I just saw what it was called. Like,
I need to see my
I'll make sure that we've got all the links like ready for next week, because
you're gonna want those links
for his running cycling thing. They've got this Amazon wish list, and it's for kids that are in hospital. So it's like they're all being delivered to the Royal Infirmary, and it's like, so I've already been, I'm like, every initiative I'm like, yeah, donated to it. Like I bought the cutest little cow toy. But I like it because you can see on those Amazon wish lists, you can see what you buy, and it's that choice thing again, isn't it? So I'm going to buy them that.
And that's the thing of social media. Like, it's all right to say, like, disconnects with that beauty to the streets, with the beauty on Amazon wish list. Me in the UK could look over an initiative in the US and literally give a little boy something I've seen him ask for, and then I can see him open it.
Yeah.
It just
dopamine.
I love myself right now. Look how happy he is, literally. And that makes me think, it's a question I ask a lot of people. Do you then feel like there is no such thing as a selfless act? Because I've always thought of this.
No, I think that the reward is seeing their happiness. That's not selfish that you want to see that.
No, not selfish. But it's not completely selfless. Because you know that it gives you that good feeling.
But I think that's just an added bonus in it. Because over the years, you must have like done shoebox appeals where you don't know who's receiving it. You don't get to see the reward factor. It's just a feel good feeling giving it. Or does then that not count as selfless? Because
I just feel like, I know for me, if I'm feeling down, doing something good for someone else, I know that's a hack.
Yeah, it makes you feel better.
So yeah, I'm kind of in the idea that there is no such thing as a completely selfless act, because if I'm doing something to feel good about myself.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because you're saying you're doing it for no reward, but if the reward is that you get a feel good feeling, but that surely just makes you a naturally nice person that likes to give.
Yeah, and I think it's about reframing what that idea of selflessness and selfishness really means. Sometimes we need to be selfish to look after ourselves and other people. Yeah.
But it reminds me, you just saying that about the lad on the beauty to the streets kind of thing. Jade was in the chat last week and she was saying that she gives to a Bulgarian family.
Yes.
So there's lots of appeals like that you can do when it comes to kind acts. But also there's it's been running as long as I can remember, but in Anstey, the village that I used to live in, they do like a nobody should be alone at Christmas meal. And my first ever charity event that I ever did years and years ago. In fact, I think it was probably just when I was doing tutoring, but I did some kind of event and I just donated all my money to that, because it's like I don't know, I just love that idea of doing something to bring joy to people, you know. Like, you just think Christmas is one of those times that for those that are on their own, they must really feel it, unless you want to be on your own, of course.
I think quite a lot of the time we look at problems and we're like, I feel really helpless, and this is a really good way of feeling like you are making a difference.
And I think as well, you've just got to be so grateful for the small things. Like, it reminds me of this song. Now, if you're watching, Charles, let me know if you remember it, but we used to sing Jesus bangers in the morning before, in assembly, and you'd sing like,
all things bright and beautiful.
But my mum reminded me of one, and it was like, love is like a magic penny, spend it, lend it, you'll have so many, hold it tight and you won't have any. Oh no, it's the way round, because it's like, spend it, lend it, you'll have so many, they'll roll all over the floor. But it's so nice, because love is like a magic penny, if you hold it tight you won't have any. But spend it, lend it, and you'll have so many. And it's like, I feel like the more you just relax and just give, the more you receive kind of thing. And the more you do desperately try and hold on to your things, the more bitter and stressed and resentful you become.
Yeah.
So, yeah, give.
I know that, I think it's Indian culture is a lot more like pay it forward, like, because you believe that it's, ultimately it's going to come back to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I pick up a tenner, if I see a tenner in the street, giving that to a charity will give me way more money than that tenner if I just kept it. So it's kind of a nice little, I like that idea. But this past week, have you done anything yourself that's been act of kindness? I mean, I feel like you're always kind of kind.
Yeah,
There's
but
always something in your day.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, obviously I bought that little cow on the
little cow
on the initiative and stuff. But with the students, we went out for a walk yesterday, and I was like, I just wanted to get them out and about and in nature and having a good old play. And I had a real win scenario where there was 3 lads, 2 of them I know quite well, and 1 doesn't really know me that well. And one of them was like, "Oh, Lindsay, you're gonna hug a tree. You're gonna hug a tree." And I know that he was kind of wondering how this other lad was going to react to it, because 2 of them just know that that's what I do. But to be fair to him, he was just taking it all in his stride. Didn't even raise an eyebrow. I think they just know I'm just that woman. But and we like ended up getting lost in the woods because that's what they wanted to do, just go and get lost. And I was like, yeah, let's go for it. And I think sometimes, again, if you resist, if I resisted that, oh no, we can't do that, you just make everything so much harder. Just go with the flow. And by going with the flow, we had a really lovely time. Well, anyway, they ended up spotting this tree, and one of them was like, oh my God, Lindsay, you need to hug that tree. That's the one. And then like one started running towards it. The next thing, all 3 of them are running towards it. And then they've just all put their palms out and like walked towards it and all put their palm on it. And they're all just stood there like, for that split second. And I walked up behind. I was like, do you mind if I take a photo? Like, look at the tree so that you're not in it, kind of thing. Because I thought I'm going to put that on my social media, because the fact that I've given them that gift of being able to use nature to heal and regulate themselves. And I was like, can you feel anything? And they were like, well, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something. And it's not perfect. And I don't think I've solved all their problems, but
no, I like that.
It was like one of my biggest wins this year, because it's like, yeah, great. I love the fact that they're excelling in certain studies and stuff, but that connection with nature is something that's genuinely going to help them for the rest of their life.
Even just helping them have that, separating that idea of what's cool, what's just because like you get to an adult and you're like, God, I wish I didn't care about that as much, because I'd be way more on point. I think waste too much time.
That's the thing, isn't it?
In one walk, you've gone from a meme ready to take the mick out of you, just showing you to another kid, to being like all together, like
all 3 of them. Yeah, and it was a beautiful moment, because I thought, like you say, they are very worried about their reputation, what they look like, and having the latest trainers. And sometimes you do feel so sorry for them when you hear in the conversations they're having. You think, oh my God, But then you just have to remember, I was there at that point, and I've grown through it, and they will grow through it as well. But yeah, it was really, really, I thought that was my act of kindness, teaching them to connect with trees.
Oh, I love that. I've not been very well, so the last week I've been kind
to yourself.
kind to myself. But I was like, I'm gonna go out and do stuff. I'm gonna see what I can do within a few minutes of walking within my just where my house is. So I walk down the street, and there's that garden.
Yeah.
And there's a sign on it that says, at the minute, we're just cleaning the brown leaves and putting them in the bin. And I was like, great. I'm gonna go back and get my dustbin ban. And my brush. And I'm just sweeping little bits of brown leaves. Go in the vlog. Don't worry about the vlog. It's coming. It's actually taking shape. Oh my God, I'm sick. It's embarrassing. Just trust me. When it comes out, it'll be worth it. And then I walked a little bit further, and I what did I do? Oh no, I'd already gone back, got my car. This was later in the day. I left change in the parking machine.
Oh, nice.
So they kept that. And then I left something else. A vending machine. I was just like, no, I'll leave that there. And I was thinking, because a lot of times when you think a kindness act, pay someone a compliment. If you're an introvert, you're like, how come? What?
Yeah, it can creep you out a bit, can't it?
Even like go up to someone and give them some money if they're homeless. Even that can feel a little bit like, what if they go,
I don't want it. Yeah.
but being able to just leave it to, it doesn't matter who it goes to.
Yeah. You just have to trust
that
the person that's having the really bad day that needed that little pick me up will be the one that finds it.
I trust in the universe in that much
Yeah,
gonna happen.
I
Do you know what I
do.
mean? Because I know that when it happens to me, it's like changes my whole
Yeah,
day.
of course it does. Two things. I'm so glad I didn't forget to say this because I've bloody written a note here and I'd forgotten. I went to pick up some printing from the printers in Loughborough on Baxtergate. So shout out to the printers on Baxtergate in Loughborough if you need any printing doing.
Oh, literally the printers. I'm about to be like, what's it called?
Yeah,
the
it's called the printers. Really, really quick turnaround and quality service. But when I went to pick a t-shirt up, they gave me a little chocolate bar that had a little note stuck to it saying World Kindness Day. And it was like, you are great or whatever. And I was like,
Love that.
I loved it because I thought, here's me doing all these other things. So it was really nice that another company was doing that. I was like, I don't think they realised how touched I'm like, like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
I'd be like, it's chocolate.
Yeah, like, okay.
We got it for free.
Yeah, that girl was really happy about that. So that was really lovely. So thank you for that. And then the other thing was one of the girls at work brought in this peg to show me, and it was this taxi guy. Maybe it was called Fox's Taxis.
Okay.
And he started this thing with like he'd have these pegs with these like lovely little notes written on them, and when he was taking people home drunk off a night out, he'd peg it to the person so that the next day they'd find this peg, and it became like this kind of.
That's quite.
And
funny.
during lockdown, he did 1,000 pegs and had put them all out, and he like, there's like local law, you know, like because of this guy. But apparently, also he had a little red carpet when he got you to his destination. He'd get this little red carpet out, like. He sounded like a great. I mean, he's still alive. Actually, I'm so thinking about it like he's gone, but he sounds like a great guy. Like, but yeah, she'd got an original Fox's peg. But I thought, what a good promo thing as well. Like Fox's
I'm literally
tags.
just thinking, like, how can I make pegs?
Yeah,
make pegs.
But yeah, it became his thing as well. Like, you know, people finding these pegs and it just cheering them up. So,
love that.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice one. Actually, the pegs, pegging people. Probably shouldn't say that. It's got a new meaning now.
You know what I mean?
I didn't. I was enlightened by a student. Like, oh, okay. Has that always been a thing, or is that new? Is that a newfangled thing? Obviously, I'm sure it's always been a thing, but never was always called that.
Peg. Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, we're not going to end our kindness or extreme kindness wondering about this.
Speaking of laundry, I've got loads to do.
Yeah, if anyone wants to be kind, go around and do Steph's laundry for her.
Please. There was a few things that I thought, oh, this was one of them. Okay, so my local shop, I know it sounds ridiculous. There was loads of these.
It's really nice. I've enjoyed it.
I'll be honest, the aftertaste.
Not keen.
It's not apple tango.
No, it's definitely not apple tango.
It tastes like a bit more of a salsa, like.
Yeah, see, I always liked those ones though, didn't I?
Yeah.
Salsas and stuff.
I'm like, pack my mouth with sugar, and it's not really mine. But there was loads of them, and I was like, it's Halloween stock. It's gonna take 8. And I was like, you know what?
To get gone.
Yeah, of all this, I don't really want this drink, but you know what? I need to get stuff for the. And I got some other stuff from him, and I was like, you know what? And then I was in the shop, and I was like, wait, reviews. So I went home and I reviewed 10 places that I really like in Loughborough.
Oh, that's really sweet. That's a wicked one.
And I love the idea of someone just being like, Jesus Christ, she went really to it. Because I was literally like, this is what I really like about it, and this is what it means to me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'll...
So while we're on reviews, like this episode.
That karmatic energy.
And find us on Facebook and review us. Review the page on Facebook.
Can you review the Facebook page? That's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got more reviewing to do. Quite fun, actually.
I leave loads of reviews. I got an email the other week where it was like, you're popular. Like 1,600 people have read your reviews. You know, Google review. But I think because I waitressed for so many years and people only ever went on when they wanted to complain about you. And you'd think, oh my goodness. Like, you know, I really I'm proud of giving good service. I go the extra mile. I always try to, you know, give them the best experience. And then all I ever get is crap from my manager because they've had that one bad feedback from the one person that caught the back end of everything. So yeah, I'm very on it when I get the thing through. Can you review this? I'm like, yeah, because it's so hard to get people to be positive.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, like even if you're not causing any like negative stir, you're probably not getting any reviews. So you just kind of look like you've got no customers, and it's like no, just everyone's happy. No one's felt the need to. So quite often when someone's like, it's often takeaways where they're like, cheese and chips. She was like, I'll give it for just this much if you give us a review, and I'm always like, no, take the money for
Yeah,
like,
and I'll review. Yeah, I might forget, and I don't want to. I don't want to look it for half price.
That's probably more the case than what.
But that is a good one, reviewing. It's like it don't cost anything, does it?
Yeah, there's not everything has to be embarrassing and in people's faces and like, how can I help you? I'm Jesus Christ. Sometimes you can be a little sneaky.
Talking of reviews, this Saturday, Educating Jodie, which is the third book in the trilogy of the chick lit trilogy that I wrote, came out 5 years ago. Yeah, is that right? No, 6 years ago, 2018. It blew my mind. I think it was the second one that I actually released. So yeah, there we go. But yeah, get on there and review it. But it's going to be free to download on Kindle Saturday and Sunday as like a little celebration. So if you've got the Kindle app on your phone or smart tablet, whatever, you'll be able to download it for free instead of 99p. Because I don't exactly. I just want people to read it.
No, I think that's wicked. I love that. Do you know what? I've never read the Jodie trilogy. I read the Jodie trilogy. Wanting some like fun chick lit, to be honest. And I like the idea that it's not written in the same way that
they are
a lot
fun.
of them are going to be.
I mean, Mega High got the treatment of me going back a few years later and re-editing it, but I always kind of cringe a bit because Educating Jodie and Pub Life never did. That was mainly because I think I've lost the manuscript. Is that the right word?
Right, yeah.
And it's like I really ought to go back to it and go because I haven't got editor or anything like that. It was all self-published.
Just has have it.
I've got the books and things. I just mean
it was in the manuscript. I remember it got lent to someone I went to college with.
Yeah. No, Taz had the original Mega High manuscript that I ended up losing the whole thing and starting again, which was a good job because it was crap. I needed to start again.
Honestly, it takes me ages to read a book. I'm well ADHD.
How many?
Take me all year.
How many reviews has Mega High on? 68. I can't see about my glasses.
66 global rating.
Nice. That's made me happy. I was trying to
star. Who's doing this?
Oh yeah, it happens.
We see it.
I was trying to get to 50 reviews for so long, and then started concentrating on this and stuff instead, and took me off the ball. And then it's like gone way above 50 in the meantime. Like okay. That's just the ADHD thing for you. It's like losing interest in one thing. Like that's my whole author career. Forgot all about that.
I strongly recommend if you're watching this now, you're like, Lindsay's got books. Like Lindsay's got books. Lindsay is a fantastic writer. I strongly recommend. And for this price,
I know.
I mean, how much is Harry Potter these days? You ain't getting it for £1 or free this weekend. I know that for sure. Unless you are, just don't get it for. But yeah, definitely. I love that. Love that for you.
Thanks. 6 years. 6 years. Like, what the hell? Like, blew my mind. I was like reviewing just like my old Instagram posts, and I was just mind blown at how it doesn't seem that long ago. Like, what?
I was baffled in my head because I was just like, I can't believe the mask project we did was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, well, I get confused because I was like, we've done about a year of podcast. Like, God, we're about up to 2 years.
Yeah, I know. I feel like the first year went really slowly, but then the second year has gone super quick.
Super fast. That's just a bit now. Each year we'll just
just because it doesn't seem that long ago since we did that 12-hour stream as the birthday thing.
I feel like it's so embedded. Are we doing another one?
No. No, we're not. What we could do though is a live show, as in set up live and invite people.
I really like the idea.
And have like a party going on while we go live and keep like inviting people over.
I really like the idea of that.
Some kind of like, you know what I mean? I think that'd be quite creative.
Yeah. Everyone can join. Everyone can I love the idea.
I'll be living on the bus as well, so we could use Clover in the bus.
How fun is that? That's so cool. Well, yeah, I feel like that's the.
I think we've covered a lot to do with kindness, and hopefully we've given people some inspiration and feel good seeds.
Yeah, it's not just that mamby-pamby word of what does that even mean. Hopefully it's given a little bit more like depth and context to the word and how you can apply it to your life.
And realism, because that's the thing in it. It's like, got to be realistic.
Realism. That always gets me. You know, when I first went for university, I applied for loads of different places, but I went to Lincoln for my interview. And he was like, "What style would you say you are?" And I was like, "Oh, very realistic." And he pulled out one of my pictures, and he went, "You think you would call this realistic?" And to this day, I don't know if he was testing me as if to be like, it's kind of shit. Because I know it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's a really good painting. But I was looking at it, I was like, it's not really realistic because I can see it doesn't look like a photograph.
Yeah.
And it really baffled. Every time someone says realism, I'm like, what is realism though?
Brings you back to that memory. That needs healing.
That
so you can move forward from it.
It's an open wound still. So I'll work on that.
But only because like one of my friends was talking about this incident in school and how it, a certain word or whatever would remind her of this incident in school. So it was like, through her breath work, she was releasing that.
I need some breath work. I need to find out if I'm cursed. That's right. But until then, we've had a very kind week. Continue to be kind, ladies and gentlemen, to your fellow neighbours of this earth. We'll have way more in common than those at the top. Screw capitalism.
Yes, as always.
Next week is mental health. It's
International Men's Day is on Tuesday. We're going to cover it on Thursday. So
for all you that are like, when's the Men's Day? Tuesday. Don't miss it.
Yeah, innit? Because come March, all the men will be getting their heads out going, well, when's Men's Day? Well, actually, it was in November and you missed it.
2 steps ahead of you, mate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, next week we're going to be celebrating. We've got a few fun things. Men's health, right? It's important. We care about you.
Yes.
Because one day we'll be with you forever and we want you to have a brain that works.
Healed.
Just as much as my brain works. I'm not expecting perfection.
Yeah, just evolve. I'll meet you there.
It's what Beauty to the Streets says. She's like, each man comes with his own BS. They all do. Because we're human. All women do.
Yeah.
It's about working out which one beats the Febreze test. If you could sort that out, that's enough BS that I can figure that out. But some men have a stank that you cannot get rid of no matter how much you try, and they're the ones you leave them to have their BS, and they don't pass the Febreze test, and I love that so much.
I love that.
Right.
Well, until next week then, when we'll be introducing you hopefully to men that don't stank.
Non-stanky men. Please. Peace and love. This is Lindsay.
And this is Steph.
We're a different human design.
And this is a different podcast. Good night.
Why is it like this? Instead of hate, it should be love we inviting. You don't agree, then you're the problem that we're fighting. Open up your mind, stand up, become righteous. Why is it like this? Instead